Hello everyone, we're gonna today gonna talk about soul weapons. Soul weapons should be coming out next Wednesday, the 7th of June, and they have a high impact on the game. So, what is a soul weapon? Soul weapon is a new type of series of weapons that is exclusive to bestow of all locations. What I mean by that, but there's spoilers in this video if you didn't know. Uh, there are specific perks depending on the location you are in the store of all, and that's pretty much the spoiler because I'm gonna try to cover like as low as possible spoilers as possible. So how do you get a soul weapon? You get them from, you guessed it, of course, like every weapon in the game you get them from the blacksmith, and pretty much that. So, what is the unique thing about soul weapons? Soul weapons have a new mechanic added to them. It's called soul slots. There are 5 variants of souls, but I'm only gonna explain 4 because the 5th variant is only to one set, which is called the fortune set. This is for another video because it's not coming out soon. I think, and pretty much. So, what are souls? Souls are souls are 4 types: person or human soul, sun, star, and moonstone. Before we talk about souls, I want to talk about soul slots. The slots themselves contain 4 variants: bronze, silver, gold, or rainbow soul slots. The higher the better. So, rainbow being the strongest and bronze being the weakest. Does this matter? It does matter because the person's soul slot, which is I'm gonna cover first, are like have a high variance. So the higher, the better that you'll get the you know, the better that you're better off going for the higher tier because the lower tier doesn't matter. So, what is a person slot? Person slot is pretty much increase specific stat by a certain amount. Does this? What do you mean? So, pretty much, let's say we have a gold slot right here. As you can see from the image in front of you right now, there is rarity S, rarity A, base at 2, and base 1. This is pretty much RNG, and you're pretty much at the hopes of God that you get a good roll. There are variants of the souls of the person's soul, I think. So what I mean by that, there is pretty much a person's slot of HP. You know that you're gonna get HP, and let's say you roll a pretty much the base, which is the worst. There is a material that you will get that pretty much re-rolls that slot. You're gonna still re-roll the HP one to a different HP value. So it's pretty much very helpful because it reduces a lot of the RNG you need to get the good rolls pretty much. Does the person soul slot matter? I don't think so. It's probably the weakest among the 4 I'm gonna talk about. Because 1, it's only raw stats. 2, the other slots are way better with their perks. So, I'm gonna talk about the next one right now. Now, we're gonna talk about Star Soul. How important is Star Soul? It is, unironically, one of the better souls you can get. It's only 2 variants, the rainbow and the gold variant. Its outcome is actually very high. What does it do? It increases a specific character, let's say Fior. One of her 5 skills as I'm going to show right now, gets increased up to 15%. The ones in gray pretty much indicating those are the rare ones to get. This is like for every single character. The 5-star or 4-star, those are typically the rarest. Let's say, well, it's only damage. No, it's not only damage. It increases burst heals. I remember Elvis, his burst heal can be increased. I do not think it works for region, or it doesn't work for support at all. Let's say Lynette Masterful Sheer, it doesn't work at all. So how many of those are pure assault weapon? It's typically one, and you pretty much are like making multiple instances of that weapon for different characters, because that soul is only for one character, not like badge of characters. Now we're gonna talk about the most important soul, which is the moon soul. The moon soul has multiple variants ranging from increases a specific character damage cap by, it increases damage cap from 10,000 all the way to 50,000. So what I mean by that is, let's say you get a Kurgis and you put a soul that increases Kurgis's his damage cap by, let's say, 40,000. The damage cap he can do is increases from 99,999 all the way to 139,000 damage, 999, because the moon slot increases his damage cap. Variant 2 is your generic moon soul. The holder of the weapon gets increased from 2,000 to 10,000 damage cap. This is probably the worst variant to use, because one, you feel like you want to make multiple weapons for different characters. Like, let's say I want to make this weapon that contains, let's say, a moon, 3 moon slots, and 1 person. For like a heavy nuker, like, let's say, Old Break, the warrior. I just meme on him and call him Old Break, because he can reach the cap so easily, and that will help him deal high damage while also having a very nice damage cap up. Variant 3 now is reduce SP reduction of certain characters. What I mean by that is, let's say a specific character like Gilderoy. Well, let's say he has a moves that cost 50 SP. Now, if we were to put the SP reduction now by 10%, it would reduce from 50 to 45. Right now, it doesn't seem like it is like huge, but in the future, it does really matter, and it kind of matters right now because there are characters that have very like high SP moves, like Eleonora's 90 SP 4 times 95 ice random target, and that is pretty much the moon soul. The moon soul is very, very unique, and it is very helpful for nukers and can provide a nice SP reduction for characters, which is like a very good soul to have overall. We're gonna talk about the last soul, which is the Sun Soul. What Sun Soul does is 4 things. 1, it increases your status element resistance chance. So let's say Korin, for example, has 50% status conditioned nullification by himself. If you put a Sun Soul with that variant on him, it increases that chances. it can increase up to 50% if you're lucky enough, and get all the way to 100% on Corin, basically making him unable to get paralyzed, bleed, blindness, poison, stuff like that. It is helpful for niche purposes. 2, it increases your element resistance. I don't think I have to say anything about that. Now, to the more impactful ones. Reduces damage taken on certain enemies. I can't say because it's enemies from the Bestower of All, so spoilers and pretty much that. 2, which is the last variant, increases the damage on Bestower of All enemies by certain percent. Again, spoilers, I can't talk about it. That final soul is mega helpful because there is a weapon set that has 3 sun souls, and you can place 3 of that like damage up from Bestower of All enemies, which goes from I think 5 to 15%. So let's say you got 4, no, I mean 3 from that soul weapon. It increases the damage you deal to enemies by 45% from the Bestower of All. And the weapon perk has, I think, 30% at the 3rd stage, which is like 75% damage up. Again, it doesn't seem good on paper, but like there are characters like Wrath or Lars, an upcoming character that has 4 times 130 sword pronency, like the characters overall that can't reach the damage cap. This is mega helpful for the, again, the characters that can't reach the damage cap but can put a huge numbers like Therion, Xanta, Lars, Ticklin even, and pretty much those characters, the characters that can't deal the damage cap. Now, this is a very important thing. We are not getting the IV version of the weapons on day 1. That is impossible. On JP, they got the 2nd stage, which is II, and they got the 3rd stage, which is III on the Bestower of All Chapter 4. They only got the IV version on the Bestower of All Chapter 7. On Ian, however, we might get either 2 things. 1, we get the II version of the weapon and follow up the JP format, probably. Or we start on III, which is the 3rd stage. And the 3rd stage, I kid you not, has like a lot more impact than the 2nd stage. Seriously, it adds 1 more soul slot that you can do. 2, it has a lot more stats and grade. So it's pretty much that. And let's say from now, every single soul weapon from Bestower of All Chapter 1 to Bestower of All Chapter 6, I think, all have the same exact stats, grade. It only differs in 2 things. 1 being, let's say you put a soul on this weapon. It increases, it has like a hidden effect, which increases, like, let's say, physical attack by 5. It doesn't matter what soul you put on, it's always that. 2, it is that every weapon, like chapter, has different souls. So you're gonna wanna make, let's say, a Bestower of All Chapter 1 weapon because it has those specific souls. And that soul pretty much have that and that. You pretty much you're gonna craft a lot of weapons because you want to use them for specific scenarios on specific characters. It is on release gonna be a headache, but overall it's a very good. Like seriously, it is a very good addition to the game because its Moon Souls increases so damage cap and stuff like that. Before the video ends, I want to make a shout out for the people on screen right now, and to a content creator for the Japanese version of the game called Seven Forest. Very amazing guy. Go check his channel out, link in the description, and I hope you enjoy the video. Please subscribe.